All right, Brock Boeser, he's the longest tenured member of the Vancouver Canucks, which of course means that people want to trade him out of town. Well, guess what? Brock Boeser ain't going anywhere. More on that next. It's Beggsy and it's Bhawan, and you're listening to Locked On Canucks.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, welcome to this episode of Locked On Canucks. My name, Trevor Beggs, Canucks writer and credentialed media member for Daily Hive Vancouver. I got to tell you, go download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. And before we dive into today's show, we want to thank you for listening to Locked On Canucks. It's your team every day. Make sure you subscribe or follow for free on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Kyle, we're getting close to 500 subscribers, and that was reason for me to crack a mid-afternoon beer here. So cheers to you, buddy. Cheers to the Locked On listeners out there. Let's go, baby.
Why are you celebrating early, bro? We didn't even get there, man. You're one of those guys, man. You living in the moment, and I like it, man. Why wait to give yourself your flowers, right? I like that, man. I think that's the message for people out there watching this. Don't wait. Pat yourself on the back. Why not, right? Why not? Or be like me. I'm gonna crack that beer when we actually hit the 500 mark in due time, right? It could take a year. It could take a week. Who knows? Locked On Canucks, your team every day. Shout out to the everydayer. Shout out to the people not watching this as well. We're sending you love. Trevor Beggs, Kyle Bhawan. Comment corner at the end of the show. We only had one comment from our last episode, but it's ironic. It's ironic because that guy's been commenting the same comment for what? Maybe like 3 episodes already, and it pretty much got declined by Boeser and Alvin today. It's ironic. We'll go through it at the end of the show. I am excited to go through this Brock Boeser conversation because I feel as if we found out this morning that he told Vancouver he does not want to get traded at all. It's been a crazy 8 months for Boeser when it comes to him wanting out to now him wanting to stay. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's been a whirlwind for Brock Boeser, and we're going to touch on that here. Coming up later on in the show, we're going to touch on Dakota, Joshua, Nils, Aman as well. What is their ceiling with the Vancouver Canucks? But first and foremost, that guy, Brock Boeser. You know, after JT Miller signed that 7-year, $8 million extension, and then after Bo Horvat got traded, it seems like Brock Boeser was the favorite trade bait candidate in this market for quite some time. And even before Horvat got traded, you know, I'm old enough to remember December 2022. Back when Brock Boeser was going to be healthy scratched, ironically, with Dakota Joshua coming into the lineup. And then Joshua wasn't feeling well. Boeser came back, had that emotional game on Hockey Fights Cancer Night, was almost in tears in the dressing room afterwards, talking about his father. So it's been an absolute whirlwind, right? Like at that time, the reports were that Boeser's agent had gotten involved to try to facilitate a trade. And here we are 6 months later, and Boeser's rescinded his trade request. Reports coming out today that he had to sit down with Alvin after the season, said he wants to stay in Vancouver long-term. I also heard some reports today, shout out to Thomas Drance at The Athletic, that Boeser has kind of changed up his offseason routine. You know, usually spends a lot of time at home in Minnesota. And now this guy is spending a lot of time in Vancouver getting ready for the season. So look, it's not a bold
Rick
take.
Talking, man. Rick talking, baby. Rick talking, man.
It's not a bold take to say Brock Boeser isn't going anywhere, Kyle.
Damn, bro. Okay, he's bought in. He's bought into what's going to be happening moving forward for the Vancouver Canucks, right? And that's a new philosophy, especially when it comes to how you approach September. And it starts with the fitness level, right? We kind of heard the rumblings with Rutherford and Alvin talking about the culture, and some people were connecting the dots to, that was, towards the attitude of the team, but also probably based that statement was probably based on the fitness levels, right? The preparation. They kind of learned it at face value when they entered their first camp with this bunch this September, and they called it out right away. So the offseason matters. We keep talking about that. Boot camp, Tocchet, dude. I'm not going to be surprised if Kuzmenko and Tocchet are roommates, man. For real, man.
Yeah.
And maybe Boeser's there too. Maybe they're on the push-up plan, right? The push-up plan. That's interesting. Thanks for reading that, Beggsy. Thanks for reading that note in that, man. That's why you're here, man.
Yeah, doing what I can, man, especially since I'm going to leave you in the dust pretty much any moment now. Who
Ooh,
knows? Could be even a week away with my
it
wife.
could be 5 minutes from
Past
now.
her due date now. Yeah,
It
it
could be
could be
5
5 minutes from
minutes.
now. Who
It is what it
knows,
is.
man? Who knows? There's a lot more uncertainty in my future than there is in Brock Boeser's future. Because yeah, man, this guy isn't going anywhere. And honestly, I know fans want the shakeup. Kyle, I think you even said it yesterday that
Mhm.
you want this core shaken up. But Brock
I wanna
Boeser
touch
isn't
on
going
that.
anywhere. And yeah, that makes sense for the Vancouver Canucks for Brock Boeser to stay, because we talked about it yesterday when really the main focus was Anthony Beauvillier. But with a guy like Brock Boeser, even a guy like Connor Garland, you're selling low on them. You know, like the idea of trading Brock Boeser, who, by the way, has scored at a first line rate in 4 of the last 5 seasons, has averaged 64 points a season per 82 games throughout his NHL career. This guy's a legitimate top 6 winger. And I guess maybe he's been overanalyzed in this market because, yeah, hasn't been at his best the last couple seasons. But I think there's good reason for that too, man. You know, we look at 2021-22, which was a worse season for him than this last season. I mean, the guy was at even strength, like almost like a fourth line scoring rate. Um, Obviously going through a lot with his dad and poor health. And then last season, it was his first season playing without his dad being around. So, you know, that's a tough thing to do. And, you know, when we talk about that offseason preparation, and you got to give it your all at the NHL level. How can you give it your all when you got that in the back of your mind, like your dad's
Mhm.
health and everything like that? So things are more important than hockey. And I think that's what caught up to Boeser last season. Hopefully now that there's been like some time has passed, and this guy again seems motivated to stay in Vancouver, to put in the work, and hopefully hit on his potential, man. Like I could see Brock Boeser having a big season here. I know I can see the argument for him needing a fresh start, and honest podcast here, honest podcasters, we've talked about him needing a fresh start. But I could also see a scenario where Brock Boeser really bounces back for the Canucks next season.
And on that note of having a fresh start, you know who else needs a fresh start and a good fresh start? The Vancouver Canucks. It needs to be different at the start of the season, and it does start in training camp. And Beggsy, I've done this many times on the show, right? I've been a hypocrite because I'm all over the place and I'm a Canucks fan, right? And I'm gonna do it right now again, right? I'm gonna become a hypocrite.
Hypocrite mode activated. Hypocrite mode activated.
And I'm gonna say two things here. I'm gonna say two things, and I think they make a lot of sense. First off, Brock Boeser, good guy. Brock Boeser now possibly not going anywhere. He doesn't want to go anywhere. It's going to be harder to move him. It's probably going to be this way moving forward too. Brock Boeser staying in Vancouver, and if we got the same, the same thing from JT Miller, his commitment to the team's commitment to him, I've been wishing nothing but the best for JT because he's here, he's stuck here, and I want next season to matter. So now moving forward, I'm going to be wishing the best for Brock Boeser. Let's hope that he does everything that you think he can actually be, and let's hope that he does have a good chance to play with Pettersson for a full amount of time, and this work that he's doing in the offseason pays off, right? Because it could pay off for Brock Boeser, and then it can pay off a lot if he's lined up against one of the best players in the NHL, best offensive players in the NHL, Elias Pettersson. But again, I'll say this, and this is the other side of the coin. I'm a little mad at this too, because it's going to be harder for this team to look different, especially at the top. It's core going into September, where year after year after year, this core has failed to prepare itself and be ready for the season. And when less change happens, because it's looking like that now, especially at the top, how can I trust that change is? How can I be more confident in a different result? It's gonna be based off of a little bit of luck and a lot of these guys being at their absolute peak, their best. And it's hard to trust that when, again, the Canucks have been one of the worst franchises, one of the most embarrassing franchises on and off the ice over the last couple of years. And we're getting the same
Yeah,
version, it feels like.
I see where you're going with this, but here's one thing I'll say about that: goal scoring for the Canucks last season was not a problem. They were top half of the league in scoring, had a top half power play. There's offensive capabilities on this team, and I think they showed that last season. I think the issue with this team is they can't defend. And last season, which was kind of a surprise, they couldn't stop pucks either, which hadn't happened a lot in recent history. So there's a scenario where the Canucks, again, you might get a guy like Kuzmenko dropping off a bit, but then Boeser theoretically should be better than he was last season. So I still see this
Mm,
team being a legitimate offensive threat. It's the defensive side of the puck that they need to clean off. Can talk and install that. Again, we saw some positive signs, but hard to take away too much from 30 plus games of garbage time last season. especially when the Canucks have one of the softest schedules in the league in the second half there. But there's a scenario where they can improve on the defensive side of the puck. Maybe Tocchet can push some buttons that Travis Green wasn't able to push when he tried to instill that defensive mentality. And here's actually a quote. Shout out to Canucks Army and our buddy David Quadrelli. He pulled this morning. Tocchet said this about Boeser towards the end of the season. The only thing as an investor, the only thing he has to work on is his defensive game and make sure he invests in other parts of his game as well. If you have a high hockey IQ, you look faster because feet will follow. And Brock is a smart guy. And honestly, I think Tocchet's bang on. Like you look at Boeser last season, 2.1 points per 60. That's a bona fide first line rate. Mm-hmm. The scoring was there last season, but his defensive game fell off a cliff. Like statistically, he was one of the worst defensive wingers in the NHL. So if Brock Boeser is even average defensively, which I think is possible, I think there's probably some regression to the mean there.
Possible.
Then he's 100%. Then he's going to be better next season. So again, there's no point selling low on Boeser right now. There's no point trading him and packaging the 11th overall pick just to get off his salary, move down in the draft. I've said it time and time again in the show. It makes no sense for the Vancouver Canucks to do that. Find another way to clear cap space because selling low on Brock Boeser isn't the way to do it.
And again, I feel as if my mind is kind of clearing up and all over the place. And don't mind if I go back on my word. Okay, I'm just wishing the best for the Vancouver Canucks. All right, people look at this like, oh man, what type of podcaster are you? You're all over. I'm not a podcaster, man. I'm a Canucks fan here. Okay, for real. My mind's clearing up, and I feel as if, Brock Boeser is the guy to keep when it comes to the wingers that they have on this team and that they can possibly move out because he's by far and away the most different out of the rest. You know, Mikheyev, Garland, Beauvillier, they're different, but they're somewhat kind of sort of similar. Boeser's the outlier there. So, it's the little things. It's the intensity. It's, again, all the personal stuff that Boeser was going through as well. You know, it's hard to be super, super locked in when your mind is in so many places, rightfully so, and your heart is in so many places. It's hard to tap into that next level of intensity or whatever it is. But, Trevor and I have said it so many times, and I think the market has said it so many times about Boeser. He's such an intelligent player, and that's why he picks up points. He knows how to find holes in the offensive zone, and he makes good plays. So, I'm kind of gearing up to warming up to the idea of Boeser, Kuzmenko, and Pettersson being on a line somehow.
Yeah, bro. It's like your mind's clearing up. I think we got some telekinesis going because I was just about to say that. You almost took the last word out of my mouth.
Hey,
it's funny. You're saying that your mind's clearing up. My mind's getting more foggy because I'm having this mid-afternoon IPA here. Shout out to Granville Island.
Hey, shout out to the city,
Brockton
man.
West Coast IPA. There we go. But, kind of one of the last things I wanted to say on this was looking at Brock Boeser's statistical profile at 5-on-5 over the past few seasons. Honestly, with playing with JT Miller, he's been horrendous defensively. Like that duo on the ice has given up a lot, both in terms of actual goals, expected goals, scoring chances. I personally, I know they have some offensive chemistry, but I personally don't want to see JT Miller and Brock Boeser on the line next season. I want to see Pettersson, Kuzmenko, and Boeser on the line next season. Give it a shot. Brock Boeser and Pettersson have had good underlying numbers over the past 3 seasons. That doesn't even include the 2019-20 season where they really tore it up together alongside JT Miller. Let's give that juiced first line a go next season. Let's go, baby. Brock Boeser, Elias Pettersson, Andrei Kuzmenko. Do it, Rick Tocchet.
Do it. You're watching Locked On Canucks. I don't know why I said do it. Hey, hit the like button, subscribe. Shout out to an upcoming sponsor. And another ad read from Trevor Beggs right here on Locked On Canucks.
Kyle, do it. You know what else you got to do? You got to download the Gametime app, buddy, okay? You got to do it. Because, I'm a big last-minute deals guy. And when I'm like, I need to go buy some last-minute tickets, I got to do it. I'm going to do it on Gametime, okay? Because Gametime, they got my back. I get these emails from Nicole at Gametime. She's always teasing me with concerts and sporting events in my area. And not only are those weekly emails a tease, but Gametime also offers me and you last-minute flash deals on last-minute tickets. What's even better than that is that they have a lowest price guarantee along with event protection cancellation. Now I have no choice but to get off my rear end and check out a show on a Friday night. Let me tell you a bit more about that Gametime guarantee. If you find tickets in the same section or row for less, Gametime will credit you with 110% of the difference. So
Wow.
snag the tickets without the stress with Gametime. Wow is right. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed.
You're back. You're back on Locked On Canucks. Trevor Beggs, Kyle Bhawan, your team every day. Beggsy, man. Beggsy's doing it again, man. I'm telling you, this guy's I wrote it on the bottom of yesterday's episode, okay? I said that you're probably one of the toughest semi-pro podcasters in the world right now because what you're going through, what's on the line, your pregnant wife, your very pregnant wife, just by your side. And you're here talking Canucks with the people. Like, dude, I can barely, have the emotional capacity for a unpregnant woman, and you're here when she's working overtime, and you're here like, yo, I can't hold your hand anymore. I can't get you what you need. I got to talk about fourth liners on Locked On Canucks. So you're out there, man. You a tough guy, man. You brave.
Hey, when I do something, man, you got to go all in. It's not Locked On Canucks, your team when we feel like it. It's Locked On Canucks, your team every day. So we got to do it, buddy. That's why we're here. Player review season, talking about Dakota Joshua and Nils Aman. Quickly before we get to Dakota Joshua and Nils Aman, how would you grade Brock Boeser's season last year?
I would grade it as a B minus. B minus. Bro, if you asked me yesterday, it would have been a C plus. Okay, but now he's on the team. He's on the squad going into next season. We giving him a B. All right, we giving him a B. For real.
Yeah, I was gonna say C plus, but you said we. And I think that's we as in Locked On Canucks, baby. Your team every day. So yeah, Brock Boeser, let's give him a B minus because I think he got too much flack for his game last year in general when he did score the first line rate, when he did show some promise towards the end of the season. But defensively, he was horrendous.
Wait,
if he was even average
man.
defensively, it'd be a different season.
I broke it down, Beggsy. I broke it down. Okay, you've been loving Brock Boeser this whole time. You holding on to him. At first, I was like, yo, does this guy have a Brock Boeser jersey? Like, it's one of his few jerseys? Does he just want it to last forever? But no, I broke it down, bro, and I'm here to spoil the news. It's because you're naming your son Brock. Brock Beggs, man. It just unbelievable, man. Double B. You stole the thing from me. I've been trying to save that for me, naming my future offspring with a B so they get the double B nickname. Dude, Brock Beggs, double B, baby.
I need to break it to you, Kyle, and this is probably more unorthodox than most, but wifey and I actually hyphenate the last name, and she's got the cooler
cool.
last name, so we put it first. So it'd actually be Kazda Beggs. So there wouldn't be any BB. It'd be BK if I went with Brock. Brock Kazda Beggs. But yeah, Brock's not the name. I think we picked the name and it's not Brock. So you can still you can go Brock. You can go Brock Boeser, man. No problem.
Okay. Oh, there
no problem at all.
Okay.
Maybe I'll go with Dakota Kazda Beggs. No, I'm just kidding. Let's not take names for any Canucks right now. That's even though my parents named me after Trevor Linden. I don't need to follow in their footsteps, man. They were watching a competitive team at the time, and right now I'm watching a perennial loser. So I'll name maybe I'll name my next kid after a Canuck if the team's playing well.
Oof. Continue, man.
Oh, man.
Continue.
But hey, maybe Dakota Joshua and Nils Aman could be part of the solution moving forward. And Kyle, I think they actually took some good steps under Tocchet. I'm going to touch on Aman first because I think his situation, to me, it's a bit more intriguing. I think we talked about him a little less, but I don't even know if it was so much Rick Tocchet that's inspired Nils Aman to play a bit better or motivated him, taught him to play a bit better. I think it was that demotion to the AHL because Aman came up, made the team out of camp, looked good in the first few games, and then he was just lost out there for like 30 games of the season. Kind of just floating out there in a fourth line role. I mean, I was going to say he wasn't getting crushed. He kind of was getting crushed analytically. But I think after he went to the AHL, got a bigger role, had an elevated role in the lineup, he started to get some confidence down there. He looked like a different player when he came back to the Canucks. And, there's some small things to like about his game, like he was having more penalty kill time. He was kind of like league average penalty killer in those minutes. One stat I like is 5-on-5 points per 60. So Nils Aman was 0.8 points per 60 before his demotion. And that is pretty much like a replacement level rate, Back with Rick Tocchet, when he made it back up, he's up to 1.1 points per 60, which is a fourth line rate. Kind of that fourth line rate for me is 4.2 to 0.9. So Aman, again, he looked like a bona fide fourth liner. Again, he was playing third line minutes on a lot of nights, which is probably more than you want. But at the end of at the end of the day, this guy takes a lot of defensive zone faceoffs, has a lot of kind of tougher minutes, plays some penalty kill. To me, he's definitely a solution on the fourth line moving forward if he can keep that performance up.
Yeah, and you brought up some of the intangibles from Aman as well, who again could be a big part of the bottom six because we're talking about a guy that has been, touted and then let go and not believed in, to signed with the Canucks, to having a good start with Boudreau, to then being demoted. So there's like another opportunity for him to just kind of evaluate and not take it to the next level. And he did just that. He took it to the next level. And then when he got back up to play with the Canucks, a meaningless team, playing games that really didn't matter. It's sometimes hard. It's hard to play those games for sure for competitive guys, but he was there competing for a spot this season already. Like that was his mindset. And that just goes to show you that he takes this very, 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 very serious. And you need that in the room, especially from players in your bottom six.
Yeah. One thing I would like to see the Canucks do though, Kyle, is again, don't make it easy for Aman in training camp. Like go sign a guy who can challenge for a fourth line center
Ooh.
spot. A guy that comes to my mind, and ironically, we talked about him in terms of finding the next Dakota Joshua, but Radim Sahorna, big 6'6", 220-pound center. He's played 35 NHL games with 5 goals and 11 points in those games.
Okay.
And he's a guy to me that can take some faceoffs. He can kill some penalties. He's a big body. I think he can push for an NHL job. To me, that's a guy I'd like to see the Canucks go out and sign and make Aman work for it. Like, don't give this guy a fourth line center job. Make him earn it again. Here did last offseason. Make him earn it again. Don't make it easy on Nils Aman.
Okay, so do you take that similar approach, which I like, Trevor? You bringing it, Trevor, man. You bringing it. You upping it right there, man. Straight up, man. That's the. You sound like a dad there. Okay, you sound like a dad. 100%. Okay.
I'm about to have a son, man. I got to practice.
Do you take that same approach with a position that Dakota Joshua holds?
I do, but I think he's probably earned it just based on his performance last season. Like to me, Almond's still on the cusp. I think Joshua's earned it, and I kind of look at how he performed under Talkett, and I'm going to bring up 505 points per 60 again. So Joshua under Boudreau had 1.14 points per 60. Yeah, it's a fourth line rate. Under Talkett though, 1.48 points per 60, which is like a middle of the pack third line rate. I wouldn't even say low end, but a middle of the pack third line rate. So I thought Joshua, they both got better as the season went on, but Joshua really stood out. I mean, this guy was earning opportunities to play alongside Elias Pettersson in the lineup. So at the end of the day, the Canucks have a glut of wingers, and depending what they do in the offseason, I think it might just be by default that Josh is going to have to work for his job. But no, I think he's probably earned a bit more respect in training camp in terms of having the job. It's his job to lose at the end of the day, but yeah, I think he's probably earned a spot on this team based on how he played last season, more so than Aman, I'd say.
And again, an outlier when it comes to the roster in general. I know we should be talking more about the skill set and how those things really match up, but again, an outlier on a team that has Garland, Beauvillier, Mikheyev, Höglander, and Podkolzin. And we'll touch on Podkolzin and Höglander tomorrow and how this Boeser news kind of relates to them. But I think with all that being said, it does make sense that Dakota Joshua, yeah, he has a job next season being a big part of that bottom six.
Yeah, 100%. I think, Joshua, I think he's best suited in a fourth line role. I think he can play higher in the lineup if needed, but if you're constructing your perfect lineup, Stanley Cup contender, Joshua's a fourth liner and no more than that. So that's how we should be properly slotted in to the Vancouver Canucks going into next season.
Yeah, and that's it right there, man. That's a perfect amount of fourth line talk that I have in me, okay, on a sunny day. On a sunny day. Perfect amount. Yeah. All right? That's what we have to give the people.
Do you want me to grade them on our behalf, or do you want to grade them?
No, do it. No, come on. You get the grades out.
I'm going to give Joshua B+. Again, based on relative expectation. I'm going to give Joshua B+. I'm going to give Aman a B-.
Okay, there you go. Locked On Canucks, your team every day. Kyle Bhawan, Trevor Beggs. Let's go.
Yeah, comment corner on the other side. But first, I'm giving an A+ to these guys, and they're bird dogs, okay? Because Kyle, we're getting older, grumpier, crustier, and for guys
Whoa.
like us, we need to prioritize comfort. Not just comfort, but
Hmm.
we got to look sexy too, okay? We got more wrinkles going on
Oh yeah, for
with some
sure.
sexy bird dogs apparel. They're helping us look a bit more fresh and clean for sure. Speaking of fresh and clean, I know you got a new haircut too, so nice work there, buddy.
I got a story about this
Um,
haircut too. We'll get to it after the ad read.
all right. So, hey, true story about my bird dog shorts. Okay, when I first put on a pair of my bird dog shorts, my genitals started singing to me. It
Whoa.
was unbelievable, Kyle. Like, oh, it was opera. Okay. Oh man, like a little bit Josh Groban-esque, It was
Okay,
beautiful.
cool.
So that's the
Cool.
power of bird dog shorts right there. Because it's more than just a pair of shorts. Find out for yourself by going to birddogs.com/lockedonnhl. And when you enter promo code LockedOnNHL, they'll throw in a free custom Bird Dogs Yeti style tumbler with every order.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Tumblers, man, they saved you money. That's the best advice I gave you today. You're listening to Locked On Canucks, Kyle Bhawan, Trevor, Beggs, your team every day. Again, shout out to Beggsy, okay? He gets all the love on today's episode because of how much he's trying for the people, okay? 100%. You motivating me, all right, to pick your bros, I was going to go, no, you know what? We're not going to go there. Okay, so I do want to touch on the haircut story, okay? Beggsy, you know how I am with my haircuts, right? A bit over the
Yeah,
top. Over the top. Way too over the top. There's a time in my life where I was making a little bit more money. I'm getting a haircut every week. I'm getting a haircut every week. Do the math. All right? And
brutal.
I care maybe too much, but it is what it is. It's a part of the self-care routine, I guess. Anywho, haircuts matter. And today I got a haircut, and my barber, who I always go to, been going to this guy for, I think, 4 years now. He's in the Philippines. I forgot that he's in the Philippines, okay? So I called the barbershop, and I'm like, I need a cut. Big weekend coming up. Get me in. And they're like, yo, we only have one slot left this week. I can get you in at 11 o'clock with a dude named Joe. And I'm thinking, okay, sure. I've been in that barbershop every couple weeks for 4 years. I know everyone there. I don't know them by names because I only care about Ronnie. I'm loyal. So I'm thinking Joe is one of the other guys. I get there, and I'm looking around, and all the barbers that I know, they have somebody in their chair. I'm like, okay, whatever. Who's this Joe guy? You know who Joe was? Joe, I'm assuming, and this might be the bad thing to do here, but I'm just assuming because based on timeline, and he came from the country a year ago. I believe he was a refugee / escapee of Ukraine. That's the dude who was cutting my hair today, and it was scary. I'm not gonna lie. I have trust issues, but I think he pulled through with a solid performance. He did. I was
Yeah,
impressed. What a story.
I mean, your haircut looks good to me. I mean, my main takeaway aside from you being a bit soft is a haircut a week when you're making money, man. I get a haircut once every 2 months, buddy. Actually,
Dude,
I
Beggsy.
went 4 months without a haircut. I went January to like a couple of weeks ago.
Whoa, 4 months without a haircut, bro. Like,
Yeah, man.
think about your girl, bro. Come on, bro. Keep it fresh for your lady, man.
I was pulling it off, man. I was
That's
pulling it
the
off. It's all
problem with
good.
society, man. Come on, we just, come on, man. What was that word you used before? Like courtship, right? Or whatever.
Yeah.
Always making sure that you're being romantic with your partner. I feel as if getting a haircut is just that. Anyways, comment corner at the end of the show. Locked On Canucks, your team every day. Only had a couple comments from the last episode, and we'll start with this one from a previous episode, okay? Because I needed some substance for the section today, okay? So we have Kemper Canucks again, another. I think he's like a podcaster or something. He makes YouTube
Yeah,
videos on the Canucks.
he's got his own channel. Yep.
Yeah, go check him out. We're sending love, okay? He asked you if we traded back to 17 or 19, who would Vancouver target? I got this question for him. Why didn't he ask me, dude? Come on, man. No, I'm joking.
That's a
He
great
made
question.
the right call.
I think you said 4 or 5 times that episode. Like, I haven't watched a lot of prospects, so maybe that was it. But
Yeah.
shout out to Kemper Canucks, and I think Jacob Lee popped up there as well.
Yeah.
Here's quickly. I mean, I often rely on you just to tell me what the comments are, but I actually went back and read these comments, and I replied to Kemper. I said that my targets in that range, if the Canucks were going to go back to 17-19, would probably be Colby Barlow. He's a big winger. I actually heard Jason Bukala, former NHL scout with Sportsnet, on the radio today.
What?
He compared Colby Barlow to Brock Boeser with like a bit more skating ability and size, which seemed a bit optimistic. But Colby Barlow looks older than us, bro. Like, he's got the flow, he's got the big beard, But from the
Whoa.
tape I've watched, I really like that guy's game. Quentin Musty, I think he's a bit
Whoa.
more. He's another big winger, but a bit more one-dimensional. I think
Musty.
he could be a target in that range. Not as well-rounded, but really dynamic offensive player, and he's got some size. And the third name I threw out to Vancouver Canucks was, I believe, Tanner Molenduck. So he's a defenseman. He had a bit of a growth spurt this year, gone from about 5'10" to almost 6 feet. One of the best skating defensemen in the draft. Did not have a great statistical season, like for a somewhat undersized defenseman. You like to see him score more, but from the tape I watched, this guy really knows how to skate, really knows how to defend. So those are kind of the three players I threw to Vancouver Canucks there. If the Canucks are going to move back to around that kind of 17-19 range.
You're such a nerd, man. You're such a nerd. Okay, Bedard's burner was a comment from yesterday's episode. He said no brainer. Okay, and he's referring to who the Canucks should trade. That was what the video was about. Beauvillier or Boeser. Again, Boeser announced today that he wants to stay in Vancouver. Anyways, Bedard's burner said it's a no brainer. Okay, Boeser in the 11th for Chicago's 19th and 51st overall. That's not happening anymore. But I wonder if Garland replaces Boeser in the conversation. Maybe. Can they somehow do it? Can they be like, you know what? We don't even want the other second rounder. Can you just take Myers as well?
I think trading Myers is very optimistic. Although when I read that Hockey Raiders article that I mentioned a couple of shows ago about Myers in the 11th pick being packaged for the 17th, a second rounder and a fourth rounder, I was like, holy crap! If the Canucks got that done, I'd probably crap my pants.
Yeah.
First off, Bedard's burner. I did ask, Bedard's burner there, like, are you considering not going to Chicago? And he said no, he wanted to play for the greatest sports city ever. So, whatever. That's take it with that what you will. But
wow.
put some respect on Brock Boeser's name there, Bedard's burner. Like, learn how to spell. First off, it's B-O-E.
Dude, be nice to the guy. He's a fan, bro. Come on, man.
No,
Be nice to him, man. That's what
No,
the ups told us. Be nice to your fans,
he's
man.
a Chicago Blackhawks fan. Okay.
Oh,
You think I'm going to sit here on Locked On Canucks and be nice to a
Whoa.
Chicago Blackhawks fan?
dude, he's a
Sorry.
come on, man. Come on. Okay,
Not
before we wrap things up, though, I got to touch on that last one, right? Yeah, I missed one. Jacob Lee, it's too hard to predict number 11 without knowing who was available. Yeah, thanks, buddy. Sorry, man. Maybe we shouldn't have done this. Come on, man. But I did think he mentioned Mitchkov in the comment as well. Yeah, I think he was available there based on some of the tweets I've read. Yeah, that's my knowledge on the prospect pool. They're going to take him, man. They're going to take him. Okay, Locked On Canucks, your team every day. Trevor Beggs, Kyle, Bhawan. Trevor, man, you worked overtime today for the people. And just round of applause. If you got to the end of the show, round of applause and send love to Trevor in the comments below. Subscribe, hit the like button. And as always, Beggsy, you can sign us out.
All right. Yeah, that's great seeing you on the show here, buddy. But of course, we're not here without the fans. So shout out to our everydayers. Shout out to the occasional listeners. If this is your first time listening, welcome to the Locked On Canucks family, baby. We got shows coming out 5 days a week. And tomorrow's show, if I'm around, my wife's not in labor, it'll be Vasily Podkolzin and Nils Höglander. What does their future hold with the Vancouver Canucks? Will they even be Vancouver Canucks heading forward? We're going to touch on that tomorrow. But for now, I'm Trevor Beggs. That beast is Kyle Bhawan. And you've been listening to Locked On Canucks.